Good afternoon and welcome. Let's take a look at our top story this hour. Until last month, Singapore was being hailed for its COVID-19 model. But in the last 2 weeks, there has been a massive spike of infections in the city-state. At the centre of Singapore's second wave are migrant workers. They account for almost 20% of the population and hail from countries like Bangladesh, Pakistan and India. In an exclusive conversation with WION, Singapore Home Minister Shanmugam points out that communal living has led to a huge spike among migrant workers. But the government is doing everything in its power to deal with this crisis, from supplying free food to providing medical care. Listen in.
You know, when people were saying Singapore was successful, we took great pains to say, look, this is a long fight, and we are in the middle of the fight, and there is no such thing as success being declared at this point. We were very clear that this is a virus, the nature of it was not clear, and until a vaccine comes, it's going to be a long fight. If you were to look at it in two periods, until about April 7th, 8th, we had a total of maybe about 1,000 plus infections. We are at close to 19,000 as of today. So that's a big spike, and most of it has come from infections amongst our foreign worker, guest worker community. We have looked at the reasons why that has happened. And the spike, we think primarily has come about because they have communal living. They live in dormitories. We have about 43 purpose-built dormitories in Singapore. About 200,000 of them live in these dormitories. The biggest ones are slightly more than 20,000 people. There are also factory-converted dormitories, which house a smaller number, about 100,000 or so. And then another few 100,000 live in private residential premises. But because of the communal living, they live together, they eat together, they sleep in about 8 to 10 per room in bunk beds. They socialize together, and on the weekends, up to 100, 150,000 of them can come together in specific places in Singapore. So that's the reason why there has been a tremendous spread. But thankfully, because of the medical intervention, and many of them are healthy, our fatality rate is low. In fact, so far amongst the foreign workers from India, there hasn't been a single fatality. But, I say as of today. Likewise, we had a Bangladeshi who was seriously ill, but for 2 months, he was in ICU. But we took care of him. We have promised our guest workers a few things. One, the government will waive all levies that are due to it for each worker so that the employers will continue to be able to pay them. And so they will get their salaries even though they are not doing any work. That's a huge relief. The second thing they need to know is, of course, their medical care would be given, and they have been promised good medical care. And that's why I gave you the example of the Bangladeshi worker who was in ICU for 2 months and now has been moved to a general ward. The third thing is, of course, in a situation where they are in their dorms, food. So it's a huge logistics exercise for us, 200,000 meals, 3 times a day. And that's being done. So they get free food, they get their salaries, and they get medical care. And we have also made arrangements for them to be able to call home and be in frequent contact. And then various other amenities for recreation, primarily through TV.